Hello, ladies and gentlemen. All right, welcome to Serving Nerve, the show where I talk about being a service worker in the service industry, doing lots of services, but at the same time, I also talk about whatever I want because I'm indecisive. Okay, we all have something that we don't know how to do. And personally, when I don't know how to do something and I need to do it, I have horrible anxiety, terrible anxiety. Now, I don't know if I actually have any kind of anxiety disorder. I could, but usually when I look at anxiety, there is a reason why I have anxiety. It's about me not having a good understanding of something I need to do, me not being able to figure out the next step to my future, or me having a situation that is going to cause problems for me in the near future or the present. Now, a great example of this is going to be like, right now I'm about to get fired from my job. So, I have to calculate to get a new job. But outside of that, like, tax season's coming up. And maybe you, as an individual, don't know how to do your taxes. Now, I'm telling you, it's not that hard. You can use TurboTax and all that stuff, but it's still a thing you have to do. You have to put the information for your W-2s in and say, like, you haven't done that before. Yeah, it's a scary thing, or it's a thing that you're apprehensive about due to your lack of knowledge and understanding on the topic. It's also the same thing as maybe getting into a new career path, going to school for something. You trying to build yourself out of whatever situation you're currently in with a lack of knowledge and understanding. Now, the best thing about this is, you as an individual have the internet. If you're looking at this video right now, you have the internet. You can literally learn anything that you want on the internet. You can learn how to program, you can learn how to do online courses, you can learn how to draw, paint, read, write better. You can literally learn whatever you want. You can learn how to do incredibly complex mathematical equations just by looking on freaking Wikipedia at this point. I mean, I am exaggerating ever so slightly because obviously not all of these things are easy, but generally speaking, you as an individual have the opportunity to become as competent and as capable as possible with the power of the internet. The number one thing I think people have a problem with is just starting, getting that work ethic going, having the spark that lights your fire. And usually I think the best method for this is not desire. It isn't lackadaisical play into what you're interested in. No, it's horrible grief and anxiety at the prospect of you not being able to know. I feel like that is the most effective method for success. And as I say that, I can hear police sirens in the background, so that tells me something about my circumstances. But generally speaking, if you have a certain thing you need to know, I think the most amazing thing is to have anxiety about it. And sure, anxiety can shut you right down. Anxiety can give you horrible, horrible terrors, terrible mental anguish, and make you feel like the whole world is falling apart around you just because you can't do X, Y, Z, or L. And then you take the L on everything because you feel like a loser. Generally speaking, that anxiety can be your best friend. That's how I found anxiety. Anxiety is actually really effective at getting the job done at times. When you have horrible anxiety, sure, it can be distracting. It can cause you to freak out. But mental anxiety that doesn't induce panic attacks, in my opinion, is most effective for actually helping to perpetuate you to have the recognition and ability to basically just get things done more efficiently or faster. Which might sound insane, but personally, when I feel like there's a deadline for something, or if I don't do something, I'm gonna get screwed over somehow, I'm gonna probably feel more inclined to do the thing. Like, tax season is a great example, okay? Tax season's a perfect example. I have a certain finite amount of time to get my taxes in. Otherwise, the federal government is going to come for my booty cheeks, and then I'm going to go to prison. Now, sure, that's kind of extreme sounding. It won't be immediate, and it certainly wouldn't happen like that, and at worst, filing your taxes isn't that hard. But if you add some kind of rule or some kind of outcome that is unfavorable for you if you don't do it, sure, it can spark your anxiety. You can have a lot of stress pertaining to the matter, and not all solutions are immediate, so you'll be stressed until you find the solution, which is also a problem. But generally speaking, I'd still say that anxiety is probably one of the best driving factors, not desire, but fear and or the potential failure that comes with your lack of execution to get things done efficiently. And maybe not the most efficiently, but what's more efficient? You freaking out about something and also getting it done, or you not freaking out about something and never doing it. That's the biggest thing. And maybe I'm an extremist, who thinks negative emotions are actually positive ones, and positive ones are undeserving for individuals who don't do positive things. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because as long as I get the job done, I don't care how I feel with it. I don't care if I'm enjoying the journey at times, and I know that's not an appropriate thing to think. Something I do actually try to do is enjoy the journey, but there are things you just cannot enjoy that you just need to do. And anxiety, in my opinion, can actually be a pretty good driving force to getting the job done as long as you don't use your anxiety to shut yourself down. Now that's the problem, is you can't control how you feel sometimes, and you can't control your anxieties. You can't control the potential outcome, the risks, the variables, maybe about starting a new business, maybe about trying to learn something for school, trying to figure out something for work, trying to get a new job, having a time limit because you don't want to be homeless because you can't afford what you're currently living at without the job that you need, etc. And I know it sounds extreme, okay, to just be fueled by anxiety and fear at the prospect of your own failure, but I feel like throughout my entire life, that is what has gotten me incredibly far. I started out basically like when I got across the border from Canada, I was evicted from my previous property because they were, trying to sell it for COVID. My dog also died. The family dog died, and she was a little angel baby pup. And this all happened literally within like a couple weeks. It was terrible. But it was also a sign from the universe saying, you gotta get out of this zone. This zone's a bad zone. So what did you do? You went to Virginia. And it only lasted about 6 months being in like Sterling, Great Falls, Reston, that kind of zone, Northern Virginia, until that all fell apart. Maybe it was a little bit more than 6 months. Maybe it was 8 months. But then you were like, you met a boy, and you thought that was a good idea, so you bounced again, and you moved again, and then you broke up with that boy, so you moved again. And then you went to Floyd, Virginia, but were still unsatisfied with the circumstances, so you gave up on all of Virginia, and you dipped like dots, and then you went to Texas. You started out in Arlington, and now you live in Dallas. And you've moved probably 5 or 6 times, and are about to move again in the next few, which is just diabolical. And I wouldn't say that it's been entirely my anxiety that's provoked me to move so many times, but to be fair, the fear, anxiety, and stress have definitely gotten me to move faster than ever before, and also the fact that you start getting used to moving so consistently gets you out faster and faster. I honestly don't even own a bed, because if I have to move again, I'm not moving a mattress, I would just leave it, and, that's a waste of a mattress. Mattresses are kind of expensive, too. I like to travel light, and I think at this point in my life, I own more than I ever have, which is truly bad. Usually when I apply a level of, I'm about to get fired, I'm about to lose everything, I'm about to lose my home, I'm about to lose, like, literally all of my livelihood, I start getting things done pretty effectively because I feel desperate. And doing things out of desperation can make you get the job done poorly, which is bad. But at the same time, it can make you get the job done. So it just depends on what you're trying to execute, to be fueled by anxiety to execute. But I don't really look at anxiety like it's a particularly bad thing. Anxiety is there sometimes for an unnecessary reason, and you have an unnecessary amount of anguish as a result of such. But at the same time, anxiety can be truly effective at getting you to where you need to be, or driving to your head that, hey, something is not right and you need to fix it. It's the same thing with jobs. Having jobs, you realize they cause stress, anxiety, mental anguish at certain points in your life. Maybe you get a really bad job. Maybe the pay is terrible, the employees suck, whatever the case is. So you feel provoked to, out of anxiety and stress, get another job. And sure, it might not be instantaneous, but you start making the strides to get out of your current job. This is the thing that I always try and perpetuate. It's that negative feelings are there for a reason, and it's usually because there's something negative in your life. I know that we can all be kind of delusional at times and have unnecessary negative feelings for no reason pertaining to things like social judgment, things like that. The fear of potentially being fired when you're not going to be fired. The fear of, whatever the case is, losing your home or having the bank steal all your money or something stupid that doesn't make a ton of sense, or at least that isn't super common. For an unnecessary reason. It's not a healthy mindset to have. But at the same time, there's also instances where your negative feelings are valid because there's a negative situation that is unfolding around you. And to use those negative feelings to get you to do things effectively, or to get you to do things with an efficient level of time frame, I don't think is particularly indecent. In fact, I don't think it's actually a negative thing. Sure, you might feel negative, it might not feel good. You also might not be in a good situation. It might not be a positive situation. It could be a very negative one. But at the end of the day, just because you're in a negative situation with negative feelings doesn't mean that the outcome is going to be negative if you're even fueled by these negative feelings. And maybe this is my own ignorance, my own bias, but generally speaking, we live in a world of mental health where it's like, it's okay to feel this way, but you don't do anything about it. You just let the feelings pass, or you just let things fall by the wayside, or it's not good to feel these feelings, so we try to take mental health days off. We try to do all of these things to negate the negative feelings and associations we have with instances in our lives, when sometimes those feelings are valid, and to try and dissuade or denote them or destroy them without actually coming up with a solution to the problem that actually causes you so much anxiety is a truly unforgiving element to life. It makes life harder, and I think it makes you more anxious. It puts you in an endless loop of anxiety that will never be resolved because you're not resolving the conflict that is causing you the anxiety. The reason I tell you all this is because I feel like so many of us have anxiety disorders. So many of us are anxious, so many of us are depressed, feel like we're lost, have no way of executing a certain plan, and also on top of that, our emotions are causing a problem for us, and we don't feel like we can cope with the problem. And this is the thing. What is the thing that is causing you so much anxiety or trouble? It's not always the case that it's a singular thing. It could be a series of variables. But what are all the variables that are causing you anxiety? Because every time you fix something, or you learn something, or you get yourself out of a certain situation, you can actually feel that slight feeling of relief, like, check, that's done, you know? Even if you're still fueled by anxiety, by other things, that one thing's done, the other thing's done. You start checking things off the list, and then if you still have the anxiety post such, even after an extended quantity of time of cooling down, or you keep finding issue in things unnecessarily, that's when you know you need to look in on yourself and reassess your emotional state. But it's not initially when you have all of these problems. Sure, if you're using some kind of substance, and it's provoking anxiety in you, and you're using the substance to cope with your problems, then you have to look in on yourself much faster than you otherwise would. But at the same time, if you're currently in a situation and you feel anxious, there's probably a warranted justification as to why you feel anxious. And I feel like for us to kind of weaponize the fact that it's just mental health, or I'm not mentally well, or maybe, I don't know how to cope with this thing. It could very well be the case, but I just don't think it's going to be the most effective thing for a lot of people. I think the best option for most people, at least starting out when they're trying to figure out everything, is the just do it method, or the just go method. Figure out a problem. Find a problem. Even if it isn't what's initially causing your anxiety and you just don't know, if there's a problem in your life, it's an unnecessary stress. Figure out how to solve all the problems in your life. Some of them you can't solve. Some of them involve other people, other things, other variables that you can't control. But generally speaking, there's going to be at least one thing that you can definitely figure out how to solve in your life that's going to increase your well-being. And if you can do that, the negative emotions in your mind should decrease as well. And the reason I'm telling you all of this is, frick, man, I don't know. I feel like we're all just so supercharged with anxiety and terribly negative emotions all the time. And sometimes, for a lot of us, it's a very simple fix. So anyways, that was the video. Thank you so much for watching, my people. I hope you enjoyed. And tell me what you think in the comments below. Am I insane? Probably. But still, at least I can feel like maybe I'm getting more done with my life, even if I'm fueled by anxiety. But yeah, this video was a little all over the place, but I'm kind of emotionally charged at the moment because I'm about to go into a meeting with my managers to assess if I'm fired or not in no watch a clock because I can't afford one. And I'm not in the mood to do this, obviously, for obvious reasons, because it's for a very stupid reason, but alas, what can I do? Anyways, that's the video. I hope y'all enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, my people, and I will see you next time. Slater.